Welcome back, students. Let's continue with our yesterday's topic. Yesterday, I explained you the first three paragraphs of the essay The Man in Black by Oliver Goldsmith. In the first paragraph, the author introduces his friend, the man in black, whose friendship he values and whom he admires and respects a lot because of his uh, compassionate nature. The man in black is a man of contradictory personality. He's a man of inconsistent nature. He is a very kind, generous, and compassionate man, and he cares about others, about poor people, and he wants to help them and share with other people. But he pretends to not care about the well being of others. He pretends that he is a selfish man, and he is ashamed of his natural benevolence, his kindness. While he pretends to have a disliking for mankind, he is not very good at pretending to be. So, although he tries to pretend that he don't like the poor people, or he even pretends to the extent that he is a man hater, but he actually is a very compassionate, generous, and a kind man, and also is not good at pretending what he is not. Then, in the next paragraph, the man in black, the author says that he is so concerned about the poor people, the beggars, the homeless, that he complains to the author of how ignorant the countrymen or wealthy are to the state of living of the poor people. He says that the poor only want the minimum basic things, that is food, shelter, and clothes, and a little warmth, but even that they cannot obtain due to the negligence of the rich people or the more fortunate ones. Then, in the third paragraph, the author gives an example. He says that when they were just going somewhere, the man in black and the author, a beggar came to them, and the man in black secretly gives him a piece of silver. But when doing so, he appeared ashamed to present his weakness to the author. The man has too much pride to show his feelings for the poor people or the less fortunate. And he just imagined that while he was helping this man, this beggar, this poor man, the author has not noticed him. So, here to know more about this man in black, let's continue with the next paragraph. As he had fancied himself quite unperceived, he continued, as we proceeded to rail against beggars with as much animosity as before. As he had fancied himself means this man in black, he imagined, he fancied that he has remained unnoticed by the author, and so he continued in his talk or about his discussion as they were out for an excursion into the country, and he speaks very bitterly or using bitter language against beggars with as much animosity means hatred as before, for his dislike for these people. He threw in some episodes of his own amazing prudence and economy, and he just tells the author that these people are imposters, and he gives some examples or narrates some episodes that at times he because of his nature, how he saves his money, and very thoughtfully he shows his thoughtfulness and saves his money by not helping these beggars or these poor people who are actually pretenders or impostors. Just because, with his profound skill in discovering impostors, he explained the manner in which he would deal with beggars. Were he a magistrate, hinted at enlarging some of the prisons for their reception, and told two stories of ladies that were robbed by beggar men. So he believes that instead of opening poor houses for them, magistrates should enlarge some of the prison houses. They should increase the capacity of the prison houses for them. He was beginning a third to the same purpose when a sailor with a wooden leg once more crossed our walks, desiring our pity and blessing our limbs. I was for going on without taking any notice, but my friend, looking wistfully upon the poor petitioner, bid me stop, and he would show me with how much ease he could at any time detect an impostor. So, in the heart of hearts, he actually wants to help this poor man, this beggar man, this sailor with a wooden leg. But he was just, he's trying to pretend that because he is so intelligent that he can detect an impostor, and in this way or on this pretext he just stops his friend and he start talking with that sailor man. He now therefore assumed a look of importance. He just tries to show his pride, and in an angry tone began to examine the sailor. He start questioning him, demanding in what engagement, means in what way he was thus disabled and rendered unfit for service. The sailor replied in a tone as angrily as he that he had been an officer on board a private ship of war, and that he had lost his leg abroad in defense of those who did nothing at home. At this reply, all my friend's importance vanished in a moment. He had not a single question more to ask. He now only studied what method he should take to relieve him unobserved. So, but when he just listened to the answer of this sailor, this man, that he lost his limb while he was serving the country, and when rich people, they were sitting at home doing nothing, he don't have anything else to ask to him, and he loses all his vanity, and he tries to relieve that man, but at the same time he also wants to remain unobserved, that nobody should see him helping this poor man, not even the author. He had, however, no easy part to act, as he was obliged to preserve the appearance of ill nature. So he has to pretend that also before me, that actually he is an ill-natured man and he don't want to help this poor sailor, and yet relieve himself by relieving the sailor. Casting therefore a furious look upon some bundles of chips which the fellow carried in a string at his back, my friend demanded how he sold his matches, but not waiting for a reply, desired in a surly tone to have a shilling's worth. So he just asked for the price of those things which the sailor was carrying, and without waiting for his answer, he himself tells the price and increased it many times. The sailor seemed at first surprised at his demand, but soon recollected himself, and presenting his whole bundle, he says, "Here, master, take all my cargo and a blessing into the bargain." So in this way, he helps this poor sailor man. Now in the next paragraph, the author says that it is impossible to describe with what an air of triumph my friend marched off with his new purchase. So this man in black, he is very happy for whatever he has purchased with this poor man, but actually he is happy because he is able to relieve that poor man. He is able to help that poor man. He assured me that he was firmly of opinion that those fellows must have stolen their goods who could thus afford to sell them for half value. And at the same time, this man in black also pretends to the author that whatever he has purchased from that man, he has purchased it in very at a very means he has purchased it at a very cheap cost. He informed me of several different uses to which those chips might be applied. He expatiated largely upon the savings that would result from lighting candles with a match instead of thrusting them into the fire. He averred, averred means he asserted. He asserted that he would as soon have parted with a tooth as his money to those vagabonds. Vagabonds means these vagrants or these poor people, homeless people, unless for some valuable consideration. I cannot tell how long this panegyric upon frugality and matches might have continued. Panegyric means this is speech. This panegyric upon frugality and matches might have continued had not his attention been called off by another object more distressful than either of the former. So now this time again he gives an example, the author, and he tells that they encounter another person now, and this person is in a more distressful condition. And who's this person? A woman in rags with one child in her arms and another on her back, was attempting to sing ballet, but with such a mournful voice that it was difficult to determine whether she was singing or crying. A wretch means she is in a very distressful condition, who in the deepest distress still aimed at good humour, was an object my friend was by no means capable of withstanding. His vivacity and his discourse were instantly interrupted. Upon this occasion, his very dissimulation had forsaken him. Even in my presence, he immediately applied his hands to his pockets. So this time he is so much disturbed because actually he is such a kind man, he is so generous, he is so benevolent that when he looks at this woman who is in such a wretched condition with two small babies with her, he even stops pretending before the author and he instantly puts his hands in his pocket to search for some money. But to his disappointment, what happens? Even in my presence, he immediately applied his hands to his pockets in order to relieve her. But guess his confusion when he found he had already given away all the money he carried about him to former objects, because he has given money to two former persons earlier. The misery painted in the woman's visage, means on the woman's face, was not half so strongly expressed as the agony, means the pain on his own face. He continued to search for some time, but to no purpose, till at length, recollecting himself with a face of ineffable good nature, as he had no money, he put into her hands his shillings worth of matches. So when he don't have the money, then suddenly he recollects that just now he has purchased something from the sailor, and he gave those things or his purchase or those matches which are worth a shilling. He gave that to that poor woman just to help her. So the man in black, we can say that the man in black and the author, and what are their views. But here the man, he tries to pretend what he actually is not. And in this way, the author, by giving example of these three persons, he just tells us that actually this man in black is a very kind man, and but he just pretends that he don't like the poor people and he don't want to help them. Okay, so now in the end we can say that during those times in England, people don't if a person is very benevolent or very kind hearted, they just want to show it, because it were the times when patriarchy was politically and socially acceptable, and it was encouraged in the family also, and it is expected of man that they should be stern and they should be masculine, and we can say that the title also is symbolic, because the man in black, here it means that he tries to hide his real self, so he's a man in black. So these are the main points or the explanation of this essay, and next week in our next class we'll begin with the next topic. Till then, thank you.